sector then we the poor mostly rely on a sector then they for provide services. So for example, even though in some years them so they get more. For example, the Minister of Energy in 2019 not be properly budget for fuel for the provincial district country there. So of course we know how important that day for letting get fuel for provide a light. So poor planning now another one. Another reason again has to do with over the years, ministry they don't take time for plan. But at the end of the year, they need to get what they suppose forget. They always get less. And if that happen consistently, the zeal for letting them plan properly, I mean, the morale they always come down. Because however I don't sit down, I develop beautiful plan at the end of the year, and then they get some ministry may even get half of that particular amount there. So all this now contribution and what they make with where they contribute to ensure say some ministry get more, some ministry they also get less.
So
We not only stop there, we also try to look at within the ministry themselves. Because it's not just about ministry A get more or ministry A get less. But even within the ministry itself, to what extent they ensure say the department then agencies within the ministry and they get what they're supposed to get. I can give one critical example. For example, the Minister of Health in 2019, under the primary healthcare division, under the goods and services, then budget now be 20.4 billion. How much they receive? Now 740 million. We are like 4% of what they are actually approved. So whilst within that same ministries there, we also see the administrative division where we get a budget of 10.3 billion. How much they receive at the end? Now 20.3 billion. We are like almost 100%. So and all that they affect then division and the way they actually gear towards providing services. For example, the primary healthcare division, now one of the division anyway, citizens the first come in contact with when they get sick.
so now
And
it's
therefore they will need for the adequate resource. So if they don't take them time, don't do them plan in terms of what they want to do, and then get a budget, in this case, we have a budget of 20.4 billion, and at the end of the year, how much they receive for doing the program then, that's 740 billion. So this means say citizens then they're not going to receive the adequate health care what they for receive at that primary care
but
level.
but when you compare the two departments them, now waiting missing for the one we make one they gets more, then the other one gets less.
So now that's the reason for this report. Would they highlight them issue they also so that in subsequent year they're going to try to ensure say them particular department also what they don't plan for. At least they receive most of the resources, if not all of them. So then I don't know one of the reasons why they do this, so that we'll bring out the issues because they share so not in the public domain. And we need for the remind public officials that there is a whole budget planning process where they go through a lot of stages them, where they go a lot of processes them. And if they don't plan, they don't agree saying that this empowerment don't approve them, we will ensure say them department in the or them ministry they receive the resources within we required,
So
provided the resources are available. But in this case now, we see within the same ministry, this they get more than double than what them plan,
so
and this one they get less than even 10% of which actually them plan for.
so for the one themselves we no can get within the want. Let's look at the limited one we didn't get. In any way on a report show if the little budget we didn't get, they're able to reach out and provide service delivery where they within the mandate. Because if then they say they're under budget, that's not for be enough reason for make at all. At least the people are not get at least one or two basic needs.
Well, this analysis focused on um, we're not going in depth in terms of service delivery. We got other stories that we look at budget tracking and service delivery and analysis. We actually look at of the money where you received, how you actually utilize them, and whether you're able to provide the services. This analysis not go into that depth. This analysis just try to highlight at that particular level there of what they approve, whether you get them and to what how much percentage of them you get, and what now some of the causes. And some of them causes, some of them reasons also has to do with the decisions that they come after they don't pass the budget for shift between one line and another.
But what again you look at most of them ministry can get donor support where they can get from other projects and program them. In terms of them being under budget, the role of the donor support, you know, things you go able to fill in that gap there of waiting and already don't need.
This is a very important question, and as I stated earlier, one of the documents we use now the annual statement of accounts, where they provide a report on an annual basis in terms of how much government generates and how much government spend. And as I mentioned earlier, donor projects in reports not done at the annual statement of accounts. And then I want to know who to push for lower just say donor project and also the part of the annual statement of accounts, so that at the end of the year we go to see clearly of this ministry how much donor support they get, how much they spend, how they spend now. But in this case now, as it is now, there is no report on donor projects we factor into the annual statement of accounts. So therefore, as part of the overall framework, when the PEFA, when accepted worldwide framework, now that are the reason why Sierra Leone get D, and then particular scores, because that report did not they as part of them. Right. So the moment they start for include that donor report there, you will see the scores and go for begin change.
Okay.
Continue for the week at the studio. Abubakar Kamara, Budget Advocacy Network Coordinator. The program Good Morning Salon, they continue with the go for commercial break.
Better don't come. Now Union Trust Bank again. Union Salon Banco. Union Trust Bank get plenty products and service there for you. You must get what you want to go better. Like we savings account, ide. Current account, ide. Fixed deposit account, ide. Credit facility, ide. All for you. Me and you. Union Trust Bank, that's a loan for me and you. Kids future savings account, ide. School fee savings account, ide. Pay advance salary scheme, ide. We branch and they all up but not alone. Bokono kenema, we de. Kabala mabogo kakambia, we de. Jala Freetown loan sa, we de. And my 91, me and you. Union Trust Bank, me and you. Union Trust Bank, Union Trust Bank. Salona for me. Union Salon Banco. Union Trust Banco.
Union Trust Bank, empowering Sierra Leonean businesses.
The program Good Morning Salon they continue, and inside the program now we look at another issue. As school go open for pre-primary school them September 15 and safe for school picking away the JSS and SSS October 5 this year. The Director of Communication at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Ibrahim Sharif, say if they fail not say any picking na any of them school year will go open, get the coronavirus during the time where they go school, then go ensure say the ministry together with NACOVAC isolate the picking and safe, disinfect the school, but say they not go lock that particular school lay where the picking get the virus from. Ibrahim Sharif talk more about the school open one to Princess Pias inside one phone interview.
The ministry, after extensive consultations with national stakeholders in the education sector, we don't decide to say schools therefore reopen, for pre-primary, if we reopen on the 15th of September 2020. And of course, the JSS and SSS schools therefore reopen on the 5th of October. That after many considerations regarding the COVID-19, regarding the future of our children, because we don't want to create a generational gap wherein the students the whole year they're not able to go to school. We don't see COVID-19 there. So the one that really manage the COVID-19 in our country, when the Ministry of Health and Sanitation and the NACOVAC will do this, take this decision, together with them. And so we believe it will be safe and that we're not going to put the beginner in harm's way, that we'll be able to reopen school, just like how we reopen schools for candidates of the 3 exams. We'll be able to do them for all the beginners so that we'll be able to do a comprehensive assessment, and at the end of the day, then we're able to promote the one that we get for promote, or the one that we not get for promote, then we'll see what to happen.
Okay, now you say una don't talk with NACOVAC concerning measures that wouldn't pick go get for go by. So what about the measures of the overcrowding? We know say now the school and the car open, picking all get for the go school, use the different classroom them. What are they doing that like say?
Those are part of the measures. Just like how we have done the following. We'll be announced schools and get for reopen for the 3 examination classes. After that, we'll be get for pull other plenty press release there where they talk about the operational guidelines and the other activities that will be followed. So this release we don't release not just the beginning of that process. So now we get for Sudan, we think about what get for the operational guidelines about which schools that we open, what are some of the considerations, how we want for the beginning, go Sudan na class, waiting there for do. So all them things and then now we discuss. Just believe so for let us take a decision like this, it is possible for some we able for reopen schools safely and that speaking and all get problem.
Okay, now we know say them pikin they been go school. So if any pikin them test positive, where school go open, una go close the school.
Not necessarily. See COVID-19 prevention and control measures where government don't put, not only for school picking, it is for every citizen of this country. So the same thing they apply to other citizens, now they apply to the schools. If we find out say picking up contract coronavirus, of course, we directly call 711, NACOVAC will come inside, then go take the picking, then go disinfect the place outside the day, we go test the other picking them, we will do temperature checks, every day for about 7 days. So we go through all of the measures, but not to necessarily close the entire school down.
How una go ensure say una work with NACOVAC for monitor for see say the pikin them follow all the measures them where school get for open.
This now national stakeholders that meet. Now we all decide for take this decision. So the operations of the school get for be inclusive of their own activities as well. So that make way we put together the operational guidelines now for our three schools them as to how they get for operate. So that guidelines they will mention what's at the role of the other stakeholders them, including NACOVAC.
Well, that's not the Director of Communication and at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, Ibrahim Sharif, they talked to Princess Pia's Insider interview day. Also, he said the pre-primary school and self JSS and SSS school away for open October this year. If they fail not to any picking get the coronavirus, then we'll make sure say they isolate that picking day and say they not go close that particular school, but the pikin when they not to get the virus and go isolate them and self disinfect the school. Well, the program is still listening to now. Good morning, Salon.
We still get Abubakar Kamara, the coordinator for BAN at the studio, with the talk about the revenue expenditure credibility analysis report 2017-2019, where they don't pull this PNTM. We still look at these reports. Not a secret again, of course, you don't make mention of Ministry of Health, for example, where they can get budgets them way. Parliament can approve some budgets, but at the end of the day, ministries then they will not can get the money where Parliament can only say then forget. So in this case, wait till na fair not say now the problem we make year in year out to most get ministries and we still the complain say them be approved them budgets, but the year can do almost around then still not can get half of the money where Parliament can do approve.
One reason for be, as I've been mentioned, the decisions and they take within the year, where they take after they approve the budget, where they requiring for move resources from one area to another area. Another reason for deal with the extent to which the MD they also do them planning, because there are certain critical departments in there where having them can need they're not if they're not properly planned, but at the end of the year the resources they need if you know they we don't put justification they go provide extra. So poor planning now another aspect. Another one I go for deal with again the political decisions them in terms of programs and activities then where they come in between the year and what in that they cause, especially if the revenue still remain aside them they approve them, we extra we need to expect for get extra. It will require them for look into area they want to go cut, we they go put in another area then.
The
But of
political
course,
decision as in decision the way ministers them can take na different departments them.
well, on the one within the ministries, yes, now the decision where they did it, where they take within the ministries. As I will give, for example, the Ministry of Health, that decision they fall within the ministry in terms of relocating resources from one program to another.
Because the reason
But
why I
the-
ask during the budget process them where the budget hearing can they go on, the ministry how they talk about so can go explain how they want for use them on here.
Yes,
Then can don't
correct.
put then different activity of waiting then they plan for do and how then they spend about at the end of the day we they see say the money not they come.
when that are the issue then where the report actually highlights. And we want bring conversation, discussion around that, around how we can ensure say within them plan for the entire for do to the best of profitability, ensure say then do them. And ensure say also, again for government generate the resources required for provider services today. Because the effects of that is if a particular department don't spend a whole time for plan, don't do a whole lot of consultation, then identify services them or program or activity we intend for do for provide service for the people them, then at the end of the year, if they need to get enough resources, in and out, it affect even the planning process.
But if you look at the revenue generation where governments make the 2017-2019 wanna cover and the way how they spend their money, then you talk about credibility, you go refer to them budgets then as credible.
Well, probably I can just touch now on the aspect of revenue. In fact, on this report, government get A in two areas then. And one of the areas the whole government get A, now the revenue, aggregate revenue out on the overall in terms of within them be approved for the NRA collect, to what extent they then collect them. And we find out say for the 3 years under review, NRA in some area, for example, in 2018, then overeat the target by 100 and something percent. But all area then they within close to 100%. So on the revenue aspect, then they on track in terms of generating the mobilizing and collecting the revenue we Parliament approve for do. So on that side, the government get A. So overall, then okay.
So the expenditure
Overall, they come close to what they say they do. But the problem is within departments and within and then how did they shift the resources from one MDA to another? That's where the main issue lies.
So look
because
at
they see some they get more, and some they even get up to 50 or 40% of what they may approve for. And when that happen, it affects each and every of them department and the services they will actually provide.
So now what they miss policy not there for like say for strictly stick to what we don't say you they do except emergency, then you deviate from what we don't state with Parliament approved.
There is a law. In fact, in one of the recommendations now, like the need for follow strictly on what the public financial management says. We understand say context can change within the year, but there are procedures where there's a need for follow. So, like for example, on this 2020, we see we they observe say there's an issues in terms of how much for generate and to what extent NID generate and to what extent they want to do new program there. Then follow the process, go in a parliament and do a supplementary budget. And that than the right process for do. But in the subsequent years then, we see that they do huge changes from one budget line to another budget line, from one ministry to another ministry, without recourse to parliament for getting approval.
So looking at the resources of some of the MDSM with this report cover, on a report in any way, try to know, their resources are do limited for them. Also, really they spend them because if you talk about expenditure analysis, all that this expenditure is also facility them provide very key also.
Well, as I said earlier, we not dealt into that particular aspect. We just look at within what Parliament approved, to what extent government will mobilize the resources and provide them respective MDs they also the resources. So this report basically try to look at how government is stick to in plan where it was set.
So you think say most of within the different MDSM can do in terms of the budget hearing, when they can go defend them budget for say we want to do this and this. You think say at the end of the day when they get within the one the attention can be diverted or they can just no one do the expected thing them where they cannot get any money here for?
It's not about doing the expecting it, it's about how much resources did they provide for do that.
No, but at least they get some, not to pass they get complete one for letting do something.
Well, now that the study actually focus on. For look at of what they don't plan for, to what extent government will provide the resources. The main issue here is at the between MDA to MDAs. Some they receive more, some they receive less within here. And within the MDAs, within the department, some they receive more, some they receive less. So now that the report focus on. And the reason why the report focus on that, because that affect service delivery we the citizens supposed to benefit from. Because if a particular department don't plan very well on the service they provide, enable get that particular service they definitely enable get the money that they're supposed to get, definitely they enable provide the service. And when they enable provide the service,